I'm Eliza, a woman who thought she had her life figured out, until I ran into the man who once walked away from me at the airport with our 9-month-old daughter in my arms. Just one moment, and the past came crashing back. Every hurt, every silence, every what if. I had built a new life from the rubble, raised my child alone, until he showed up again, and everything turned upside down. Before I share this story of heartbreak, healing, and second chances, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe if you've ever stood at a crossroads for the sake of your family. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next. The fluorescent lights of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport seemed too bright that afternoon. Or maybe it was just me. Ava squirmed in my arms, her tiny fingers reaching for my hair as I shifted her weight to my hip. 9 months old and already 20 pounds. My little chunky monkey was getting heavy. Gate B32, I muttered, checking my phone again. Our flight to Savannah was delayed another hour. Perfect. Just perfect. I was adjusting Ava's bib when I saw him. Nathan Cole stood 20 feet away at the coffee kiosk, his back to me. Even after a year, I'd know those shoulders anywhere. The way he held himself, confident but never arrogant, hands in the pockets of his perfectly tailored gray suit. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard I thought it might crack them. Turn around, walk away, now. But my feet wouldn't move. Ava babbled something that sounded like da-da-da, and I pressed my hand over her mouth, terrified he'd hear. Those syllables meant nothing, just baby sounds, but they felt like accusations. He turned then, coffee in hand, and our eyes met. Time didn't stop. That's just something people say. Instead, it stuttered and lurched like a broken film reel. His face went through a series of expressions I couldn't read fast enough. Surprise, confusion, something that might have been joy before it shuddered behind that careful mask he wore so well. Eliza? His voice hit me like a physical thing, deeper than I remembered. He took a step toward us, and I finally found my legs. Nathan, my voice came out steady. Thank God for small miracles. You're back from Europe 3 days ago. His eyes moved to Ava, and I watched him do the math. Watched him catalog her features. My nose, my dark hair, but those eyes. Those stormy, blue-gray eyes that were all his. Ava chose that moment to turn her face toward him fully, grinning her two-toothed smile. Nathan's coffee cup trembled. She's beautiful, he said softly. What's her name? Ava. The word felt like glass in my throat. How old? The question hung between us like a blade. I could lie. I could run. I could do 100 things that weren't standing here letting him see the truth written all over our daughter's face. 9 months. I watched him count backward, saw the moment understanding dawned. His jaw tightened, that little muscle jumping the way it always did when he was processing something difficult. Eliza, our flight's boarding. The lie came easily. We have to go. Wait. He reached out but didn't touch me. Smart man. Can we talk, please? There's nothing to talk about. I hitched Ava higher, her weight suddenly unbearable. You made your position very clear. Children weren't in your plan, remember? The words I'd replayed 1,000 times in my head. The words that had broken something fundamental inside me that night in his apartment. Rain lashing the windows as he explained why we couldn't continue. I didn't know. No, I agreed. You didn't, and that was my choice. Ava started fussing, picking up on my tension. I bounced her automatically, the motion as natural as breathing now. Nathan watched us with an expression I'd never seen on his face before. Lost. Nathan Cole, who always had a plan, who built a clean energy empire from nothing, looked completely lost. I have to go, I said again, and this time I meant it. Eliza, please, my number hasn't changed. Just let me know you made it home safe. I didn't answer. Couldn't. I turned and walked away, my daughter's weight anchoring me to the earth when everything in me wanted to float away. Behind us, I heard him call my name once more, but I didn't look back. The bathroom was blessedly empty. I locked us in a stall and sat on the closed toilet, Ava on my lap, and let myself shake, just for a minute, just until I could breathe again. No, baby, I whispered. Mama, say mama. But she just smiled that heartbreaking smile. His smile. and continued her cheerful chanting. Da-da-da-da. Outside the stall, someone entered the bathroom. I pressed my face into Ava's hair, inhaling her sweet baby scent, and willed myself back together. I'd done the last year alone. I could do this too. I had to. The house felt smaller when we got home, like the walls had crept inward while we were gone. Mom was waiting on the porch, her silver hair catching the late afternoon light. "How was Atlanta?" She took Ava from me, and I let her, my arms screaming with relief. "Fine." The client loved the preliminary designs. She studied my face. "You look tired." "Thanks, Mom." That's what every woman wants to hear. She pursed her lips, but didn't push. We'd gotten good at not pushing, her and I. It was easier than talking about the things that sat between us like landmines. Inside, I dropped our bags and collapsed on the couch. My phone buzzed. Nathan's name lit up the screen. "Just want to know you're home safe." I stared at it until the screen went dark, then deleted it. "You should tell him," Mom said from the doorway. She'd put Ava down for her nap already. The woman had magic hands. "Tell who what?" "Don't play dumb with me, Eliza Grace. You saw him in Atlanta." I closed my eyes. "How could you possibly know that?" "Because you look like you've seen a ghost. Same way you looked when you came home that night last year." That night. The night I'd driven through the storm to her house, soaked and sobbing, to tell her I was pregnant. The night she'd held me while I cried, then calmly suggested I take care of it before Nathan found out. "I've made my choice, Mom." "You made a choice when you were hurt and scared. That doesn't mean it was the right one." "Please don't start." "He has a right to know." "He gave up that right when he said children would derail his company." The words exploded out of me. "When he said he wasn't built for family life. When he chose his 5-year plan over us." Mom sat beside me, her movements careful. "People say things they don't mean when they're scared." He wasn't scared. He was practical, logical, all the things that made him successful. I laughed, but it came out cracked. "God, I was so stupid. 3 years together, and I actually thought—" "You thought he loved you." "He did love me, in his way. Just not enough." We sat in silence. Through the baby monitor, I could hear Ava's soft breathing. She'd been colicky for the first 3 months, screaming through the nights while I walked endless circles around this living room. I'd been so alone then, running on 2 hours of sleep, covered in spit up, forgetting to eat. The emergency C-section had nearly killed us both. The storm that night had knocked out power lines, and I'd driven myself to the hospital when the contractions became unbearable. Maya had made it just in time to hold my hand as they wheeled me into surgery. "You could have died," Mom said quietly, following my thoughts. "You and Ava both. And I wouldn't have known how to reach him." "That's dramatic, even for you." "Is it? You hemorrhaged, Eliza. You were in the ICU for 2 days." I remembered it in flashes. The beeping machines, Maya's tear-stained face, the NICU visits to see Ava in her plastic box, so small and perfect and fighting. "We survived," I said. "That's what matters. Surviving isn't living. It is when you're a single mother." I stood, needing distance. "I have work to do." In my studio, I pulled up the Atlanta hotel designs, but the lines blurred. Nathan's face kept superimposing itself over the blueprints. The way he'd looked at Ava, hungry and wondering and afraid all at once. My phone buzzed again. "I'm not going anywhere, Eliza. When you're ready to talk, I'll be here." I turned the phone face down and got to work. I'd built this life without him, brick by careful brick. Ava and I were fine. We didn't need him or his guilt or his too late revelations. We didn't need anyone. But late that night, when Ava woke crying and I walked our familiar circuit around the living room, I let myself imagine, just for a moment, what it would feel like to not be alone. To have someone else who'd jump up at 3 a.m., who'd take the next shift, who'd love her as fiercely as I did. I pushed the thought away. Dangerous territory, that. I'd traveled it before and found only dead ends. "Just you and me, baby girl," I whispered into Ava's hair. "That's all we need." Maya's apartment always smelled like coffee and turpentine. She opened the door before I knocked, paintbrush still in hand. "He came here." No preamble. That was Maya, straight to the point. I adjusted Ava on my hip. "Who came here?" "Don't. Just don't." She stepped aside to let us in. Nathan Cole showed up at my door yesterday looking like someone had ripped his heart out and showed it to him. My stomach dropped. "What did you tell him?" "The truth." She set Ava in the bouncy seat she kept just for our visits. That he has a daughter, that you went through hell alone. That if he hurts either of you again, I'll personally destroy him. Maya! What? Someone needed to say it. She poured coffee, her movements sharp. You should have seen his face, Liz. When I told him about the birth, about the ICU, you had no right. I had every right. I'm the one who held your hand. I'm the one who took care of Ava when you couldn't even lift her. Where was he? Building his company, living his life, exactly what he said he'd do. Maya slammed her mug down. Stop defending him. I'm not You are. You always have. Even now, when you should be furious, you're making excuses. Ava started crying at the loud voices. I picked her up, bouncing her automatically, but my hands shook. He went to a lawyer, Maya said, quieter now. Not to threaten you, to understand his rights, his responsibilities. The room tilted. He wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Want to know his daughter? Want to be part of her life? Maya touched my arm. Liz, he's not the villain you've made him in your head. I haven't made him anything. He made his choice. Based on a hypothetical conversation a year ago. He didn't know you were pregnant. He didn't get a chance to… To what? Change his mind? Pretend he wanted something he clearly didn't? I was crying now, hot, angry tears. I won't let Ava grow up feeling like an obligation, like something that derailed his perfect plans. Maybe she wouldn't be. Maybe she'd be the best thing that ever happened to him. And maybe he'd resent her. Maybe he'd look at her and see all the things he had to give up. I wiped my face roughly. I can't risk that. I won't. Maya pulled me into a hug, Ava squished between us. I know you're scared, but Liz, you can't run forever. That evening, Mom was washing dishes when I mentioned Nathan's company was building headquarters in Savannah. She dropped a plate. It shattered on the floor, and we both stared at the pieces. When? She asked. I don't know. Soon, probably. The Sustainable Business Journal had an article. He's coming here to stay. I grabbed the broom, needing something to do with my hands. It's a big city. Not that big. We cleaned in silence, the broken porcelain going into the trash piece by piece. Ava watched from her high chair, banging a spoon like it was the best game ever. You'll have to tell him, Mom said finally. If he's living here, working here, Eliza, you can't hide a child in a city this size. I'm not hiding her. Aren't you? I wanted to argue, but the words stuck. Was I hiding her? Or was I protecting her? The line had gotten so blurred I couldn't see it anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. Nathan's company was coming here. To my city, my safe haven. The place I'd built our life, careful and deliberate and alone. I pulled up the article on my phone. There he was in the photo, breaking ground on the new building, smiling that professional smile that never quite reached his eyes. But something was different. He looked tired, older. The laugh lines were deeper, and there was a tightness around his mouth I didn't remember. I'm not going anywhere, Eliza. His text still sat in my deleted folder. I'd moved it there but couldn't quite let it go. Just like I couldn't quite let him go, even after everything. Ava stirred in her crib, making those little sounds that meant she'd be awake soon. I went to her, lifting her warm weight into my arms. In the darkness, her eyes caught the nightlight, those impossible blue-gray eyes that would give us away every time. What am I going to do, baby girl? I whispered. She patted my face with one chubby hand and I caught it, kissing her palm. Whatever came next, we'd face it together, just like we always had. My studio had always been my sanctuary. Tucked away on River Street, with windows overlooking the water, it was the one space that was entirely mine. Which is why seeing Nathan standing outside it on a Tuesday morning felt like a violation. How did you find me? I fumbled with my keys, Ava sleeping in her stroller. Your website has the address. His voice was carefully neutral. May I come in? I have work to do. So do I. That's why I'm here. I looked at him then. Really looked. Maya was right. He looked tired. The shadows under his eyes matched mine. 10 minutes, I said. Inside, I busied myself with settling Ava in her pack and play, turning on her white noise machine, anything to avoid looking at him. He stood by the windows, hands in his pockets, taking in the space. This is nice, he said. Very you. What do you want, Nathan? He turned from the window. To understand why you didn't tell me. You know why. I know what I said a year ago. in a theoretical discussion about the future. I don't know why that meant I couldn't know my daughter exists. She's not. I stopped, the lie bitter on my tongue. You made your feelings clear. My feelings about having children someday, yes. Not my feelings about abandoning a child that already exists. Christ, Eliza, what kind of man do you think I am? I don't know. The words exploded out. I thought I knew, and then you blindsided me with your 5-year plan and your priorities and your children don't fit the timeline. And I realized I didn't know you at all. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed, sharp and bitter. You want to talk about fair? Fair is not finding out you're pregnant 3 weeks after the man you love tells you kids would derail his life. Fair is not going through morning sickness alone, hiding it at client meetings. Fair is not driving yourself to the hospital in labor because there's no one else to call. My voice cracked on the last word. Nathan's face had gone pale. Maya told me, he said quietly, about the birth, the complications. Maya has a big mouth. She loves you. She loves Ava. He took a step closer. She made it very clear that if I hurt either of you, she'd end me. I believe her. Despite everything, my lips twitched. She would too. She's scrappy. Eliza. The way he said my name, soft and broken, nearly undid me. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. Not just for what I said, but for creating a situation where you felt you couldn't tell me. Where you had to go through that alone. I wasn't alone. I had Maya. I had my mom, but not me. He moved closer still. You should have had me. Stop. I held up a hand. You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up a year later playing the victim. I'm not. You are. Poor Nathan, who didn't know. Poor Nathan, who missed out. I was crying now. Ugly tears I couldn't stop. Where were you when I was throwing up every morning for 4 months? Where were you when they told me the baby was breech and I'd need surgery? Where were you when she wouldn't latch and I hadn't slept in 3 days and I thought I was failing her already? I was in Europe, closing the biggest deal of my career, living my 5-year plan. His voice was raw, being the success I thought I needed to be. And it means nothing. None of it means a goddamn thing compared to what I missed. The honesty in his voice broke something in me. I sank into my desk chair, exhausted. I can't do this, I whispered. I can't let you waltz in now that the hard part's over. I can't let you hurt her. I would never. You already did, by not wanting her. I didn't know her. He was beside my chair now, crouching to meet my eyes. How could I not want someone I didn't know existed? My phone rang, Mom's ringtone. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Eliza, I'm at the pediatrician with Ava. She's running a fever. It spiked suddenly. The world narrowed to a point. How high? 103. They're running tests, but I was already moving, grabbing Ava's things. I'm coming. Nathan didn't ask. He just held out his hand. Keys, I'll drive. I should have argued, should have insisted on driving myself. But Ava needed me, and that was all that mattered. I handed him the keys. Hospital waiting rooms all smell the same. Disinfectant and fear and burnt coffee. Ava lay limp in my arms, her little body radiating heat despite the fever reducers. Roseola, the doctor said finally. Viral. The fever's scary, but she'll be fine in a few days. The relief nearly knocked me over. Nathan's hand found my shoulder, steady and warm. Thank you, I managed. Watch for the rash, the doctor continued. It'll show up as the fever breaks. Keep her hydrated. Alternate acetaminophen and ibuprofen. I knew the drill. We'd been here before. But having Nathan beside me, taking notes on his phone, asking questions I was too exhausted to think of. It was different. Dangerous in its comfort. Back home, Mom took over, shooing us both out while she settled Ava. You need to eat, she said firmly. Both of you, go. We ended up at the diner on Victory Drive, the one that served breakfast all day. I ordered pancakes I wouldn't eat. Nathan got coffee he wouldn't drink. We sat in silence until the food arrived. Thank you, I said finally. For driving is saying for staying. You don't have to thank me for caring about my daughter. The word hit like a slap. My daughter. Our daughter. His daughter. All true, all terrifying. I don't know how to do this, I admitted. Neither do I. He pushed eggs around his plate. But I'd like to try, if you'll let me. It's not that simple. Why not? Because she's not a project you can plan for. She's not a problem you can solve with a spreadsheet and a timeline. I was getting angry again, the fear transmuting into something sharper. She's messy and unpredictable, and she'll derail every plan you make. Good. I blinked. Good? My plans haven't exactly worked out anyway. He smiled, rueful. Biggest deal of my career, remember? The one I was closing while you were… He stopped, swallowed. The company went under 6 months later. Fraud at the executive level. Lost everything I'd invested. Nathan, I'm fine. The company's fine. But it taught me something about plans, about what matters. He met my eyes. I want to know her, Eliza. I want to know both of you. Whatever that looks like, whatever you're comfortable with, I want to try. I stirred my coffee, watching the cream spiral. Once a week. What? You can see her once a week, supervised, here in Savannah, not at your place. The words came out in a rush. And if you change your mind, if it gets too hard or inconvenient or doesn't fit your schedule, you walk away clean. No coming back. No confusing her. I won't change my mind. You did before. He flinched, but didn't argue. Okay, your terms. Once a week. We worked out the details like the business agreement it was. Saturdays, 2 hours at my house or public places. No overnight visits. No introducing her to anyone else in his life. I had all the power, and we both knew it. One more thing, I said as we left. The headquarters. The one being built here. What about it? Is that why? Because of Ava? He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. I picked Savannah before I knew, he said finally. The tax incentives, the sustainability initiatives, the growth potential, it all made sense. But if I'm honest, part of me hoped… He shrugged. Stupid, probably, to think I'd run into you. That maybe we could… Nathan. I know. He walked me to my door. Saturday then, 10 o'clock. Saturday? That week crawled by. Ava's fever broke Wednesday, the rash appearing like clockwork. She was cranky and clingy, wanting only me. I worked when she slept, designing in fragments my concentration shot. Saturday morning, I changed her outfit 3 times. Ridiculous. She was a baby, she didn't care what she wore, but I cared. I wanted her perfect, wanted him to see what he'd missed, what we'd survived without him. He arrived at 9:55 with a teddy bear and nervous energy. Hi, he said to Ava, his voice soft. He looked at me, lost. This is Nathan, I said carefully. Mommy's friend. She studied him with those serious eyes, his eyes, then reached for the bear. He let her take it, his face transforming when she smiled. Hi, sweet girl, he whispered. And something in my chest, something I'd kept locked and guarded for a year, cracked just a little. Just enough to let the light in. Absolutely not. I stared at the email on my screen, sure I'd misread it. Nathan wanted me to design the new eco-green headquarters, a career-making project. The kind of commission that could set Ava's college fund and then some. It's a conflict of interest, I told him the next Saturday. He was on the floor with Ava, helping her stack blocks. It's a job. You're the best architect in Savannah for sustainable design. I'm not… You are. Your Conway Street project won 3 awards. The Historical Society wants you for the Bay Street restoration. You're exactly who we need. Ava knocked over the blocks, shrieking with delight. Nathan laughed and helped her start over, patient as she grabbed and threw and demanded, Up, up! This is about guilt, I said. This is about talent. He glanced up at me. I've kept tabs on your work, Eliza. Before I knew about Ava, you're exceptional. You kept tabs? His ears reddened. Professional interest. Right. Look, at least review the proposal. The sustainability requirements alone. You'd love the challenge. Full creative control, working with the best engineers in the country. And the budget? He named a figure that made me dizzy. I'll think about it. I thought about it for 3 days. Sketched ideas I told myself meant nothing. Researched sustainable materials I wasn't going to use. Maya finally smacked me upside the head. Take the job, you idiot. It's complicated. Your whole life is complicated. Might as well get paid for it. She had a point. I accepted with conditions. Professional boundaries. No special treatment. If my designs weren't good enough, I'd step aside. Nathan agreed to everything. Agreed to… The first meeting was torture. His conference room, his team, his project. But when I spread out my initial concepts, something shifted. This was my territory, my expertise. The room fell silent as I explained the living walls, the rainwater system, the solar glass that would make the building energy positive. Questions? I asked. None, Nathan said softly. It's perfect. It wasn't. Not yet. But we'd get there. The weeks fell into rhythm. Saturdays with Nathan and Ava, meetings about the project, late nights sketching while she slept. My two worlds, carefully separate, until they weren't. Mama, mama, mama! Ava's new favorite word, deployed at maximum volume during a site visit. I'd brought her along, thinking she'd sleep in the stroller. Instead, she was wide awake, demanding attention. I'm sorry, I told the engineering team. My sitter canceled. Bring her here. Nathan lifted her out, settling her on his hip like he'd been doing it forever. Now, where were we with the foundation specs? He conducted the rest of the meeting with Ava in his arms, her chubby fingers playing with his tie. The engineers didn't bat an eye. When she started fussing, he produced crackers from somewhere, keeping her happy while we finalized the plans. You're getting good at that, I said after. I've been reading books, watching videos. He looked embarrassed. I want to be good at it. For her. The crack in my my chest widened. October brought the first cool days and a problem with the permits. We needed to present to the city council, defend the environmental impact studies. I was prepared. What I wasn't prepared for was the developer who stood up during public comment. Ms. Hart's involvement in this project is clearly personal, not professional. She's involved with Mr. Cole. This is nepotism at its finest. The room buzzed. I felt my face flame. Nathan started to stand, but I beat him to it. You're right, I said clearly. It is personal. It's personal because I believe in sustainable architecture. It's personal because I want my daughter to grow up in a city that values environmental responsibility. And it's personal because I'm damn good at my job, with or without Mr. Cole's involvement. I laid out my credentials, my awards, my completed projects. By the time I finished, the developer had slunk back to his seat. The permits were approved unanimously. That was... Nathan caught up with me in the parking lot. You were incredible. I was pissed. That too. He smiled, then sobered. I'm sorry about what he implied. If this is making things harder for you... Everything about you makes things harder. The words slipped out before I could stop them. We stood there in the October sunshine, the weight of truth between us. I should go, I said finally. It needs lunch. Right, Saturday? Saturday. But as I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that our careful boundaries were dissolving, Saturday by Saturday, meeting by meeting. And I didn't know if that terrified or thrilled me more. The storm came out of nowhere, the way Georgia storms do in winter. 1 minute clear skies, the next, the world was water and wind. I'd just put Ava to bed when the weather alert screamed from my phone. Then the lights went out. Perfect, I muttered, fumbling for flashlights. Ava started crying immediately, scared of the sudden dark. My phone rang. Nathan, are you okay? The power grid's down across half of Savannah. We're fine. Ava's scared, but... I'm coming over. Nathan, no, the roads are bad. I know, I'm already driving. He hung up before I could argue. I gathered Ava up, wrapping us both in blankets, and waited. The wind howled like something alive, rain hammering the windows. It sounded like that night. The night she was born. 20 minutes later, headlights swept across the living room. Nathan stumbled through the door, soaked to the skin, carrying a bag. Emergency supplies, he gasped. Batteries, water, those glow stick things kids like. He was shivering. I grabbed towels while he shed his jacket, trying not to notice how his wet shirt clung. Ava reached for him from her blanket cocoon. Hey, sweet girl, scary storm, huh? He pulled out the glow sticks, cracking one to life. Her eyes went wide with wonder. We made a fort in the living room, all the blankets and pillows I owned. Nathan told stories by glow stick light while the storm raged, his voice steady and calm. Ava fought sleep, but eventually lost, curled between us like she belonged there. This is how it was, I said quietly. The night she was born, storm just like this. Tell me? So I did. The whole story, the contractions that started fast and hard, the flooded streets, the hospital lights flickering. The emergency surgery when her heart rate dropped. I was so scared, I whispered. They took her away right after. I didn't even get to hold her, just heard her cry once before they rushed her to NICU. Nathan's hand found mine in the dark. I should have been there. You couldn't have known. No. But I should have been there anyway. Should have been the kind of man you could call. The kind who'd never let you doubt whether children fit the plan. His voice broke. I'm so sorry, Eliza, for all of it. The storm was easing, but neither of us moved. Ava slept on, peaceful now, one tiny hand clutching Nathan's shirt. I got the offer today, he said suddenly. The international expansion, Paris headquarters, 8 months minimum. My heart stopped. Here it was, the leaving I'd been waiting for. It's everything I worked for, everything I planned. Global reach, unlimited resources, the chance to really make a difference with sustainable energy. Congratulations. The word was ash in my mouth. I turned it down. I sat up, making Ava stir. What? I turned it down. He looked at me in the glow stick light, his face all shadows and certainty. They asked why. I said I had commitments here. They offered to double my salary. I still said no. Nathan, your company, we'll be fine. We'll expand domestically first. Maybe partner with international firms instead of relocating. He smiled, soft. Turns out my priorities have shifted. You can't give up your dreams for my daughter? For the chance to watch her grow up? For Saturday mornings and bedtime stories and teaching her to ride a bike? His voice went fierce. Those aren't dreams I'm giving up, Eliza. They're dreams I didn't know I had. I was crying, quiet tears that dripped onto my hands. Don't say things you don't mean. Don't make promises you can't keep. I love her. Simple. Devastating. I've loved her since the moment I saw her in that airport. And I love... He stopped, swallowed. I won't leave. Not for Paris, not for anywhere. I'm staying. The power flickered back on, harsh after the soft darkness. We blinked at each other, suddenly exposed. Ava woke, whimpering, and Nathan lifted her automatically, swaying the way I'd taught him. It's late, I said. You should go, right? But he didn't move. Eliza, I need to ask you something. I waited, heart hammering. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. A piece of land, woods, and a stream, mountains in the background. It's in Asheville. I bought it last year before... I thought maybe someday I'd build something there. A retreat, somewhere quiet. He took a breath. I want to build a house. For Ava. For us. If you'll let me. If you'll design it. Nathan, just think about it. Please. No pressure, no timeline. Just think about it. He kissed Ava's head, handed her to me, and left. I stood in my too bright living room, holding our daughter, feeling the world shift beneath my feet. This time I didn't delete his message when it came. Thank you for letting me stay, for trusting me with her, with both of you. Sleep well? I did. 2 years later. Mama, look, I'm helping. Ava stood on her tiptoes, carefully placing a wooden block on the tower Nathan was building. At 3, she was all energy and opinions, her father's determination wrapped in my stubbornness. Careful, Bug, Nathan said, studying the structure. Engineering is all about balance. Bang, Lance, she repeated solemnly, then knocked the whole thing over with a shriek of joy. I laughed from my drafting table, where blueprints covered every surface. The house had grown from Nathan's simple sketch into something real. Timber and glass and stone, rising from the hillside like it had always belonged there. Lunch break, Mom announced, carrying in sandwiches. She'd moved to Asheville last year, claiming the mountain air was better for her arthritis. The fact that it put her 10 minutes from her granddaughter was pure coincidence, of course. Maya emerged from the guest room, paint in her hair. The mural's almost done. Ava, want to see your forest friends? Forest friends! Ava abandoned the blocks, racing after her aunt. Nathan joined me at the table, studying the plans. The contractor says we're ahead of schedule. Don't jinx it. Too late. I already told them we'd host Thanksgiving. I groaned. Nathan. What? Your design is brilliant. People should see it. He traced the lines of the main room, all soaring ceilings and views. Besides, our families haven't been together since the wedding, I finished. 6 months ago? A tiny ceremony by the stream. Just family and Ava as flower girl. Throwing petals with abandon. Nathan's parents had flown in from Seattle, still adjusting to the grandson they'd never known existed. My mom had cried. Maya had threatened Nathan one more time for good measure, then cried too. "I still can't believe you designed a house with a separate studio for me," I said. "You need space to work." He kissed my temple. "The Charlotte Museum commission alone is going to keep me busy for months, I know. Plus the new eco-green projects, the partnership with the city, the sustainable housing initiative. Are you listing my accomplishments again? I'm proud of you." Simple, like everything he said these days. The complicated man I'd fallen for had evolved into someone who said what he meant, who showed up, who stayed. Ava bounded back, Maya's paint on her hands. "Mama, story?" "Which one, baby?" "Airport story." I settled her on my lap. She knew it by heart now, our history transformed into fairy tale. How Mama and Daddy met at an airport. How they got lost for a while. How Daddy found them again and promised to never get lost anymore. "And then what?" she prompted, though she knew. "And then we built a house in the mountains, where little girls can run free and paint with Aunt Maya and bake with Grandma and learn to build things with Daddy. And Mama makes beautiful buildings for everyone." "That's right." She scrambled down, satisfied, and ran to show Nathan something important outside. I watched them through the window, his tall frame bent to her tiny one, examining whatever treasure she'd found. The phone rang. My assistant, with news that made me sit down hard. "What is it?" Nathan asked, coming back inside. "The Pritzker Committee. They want to interview me for the architecture prize." His face lit up. "Eliza, that's impossible. I'm 34. No one wins a Pritzker at 34. No one builds what you build either." He pulled me up, spinning me around. "We're celebrating tonight. It's just an interview. It's recognition. It's validation. It's—" He stopped spinning, cupped my face. "It's not even a fraction of what you deserve, but it's a start." Ava tugged at our legs. "Up, both up." We lifted her together, a family sandwich hug that had become her favorite thing. She chattered about bears and trees and the baby brother she'd decided she needed, while Nathan met my eyes over her head. Later, as sunset painted the mountains gold, I found myself on the deck, watching Ava chase fireflies. The house rose behind me, my dream made real. Inside, family moved through spaces I'd designed for exactly this. For laughter, for gathering, for love that had been tested and survived. "You did it," Nathan said, joining me. "We did it." "No." He wrapped his arms around me from behind. "You did. You built our life when I was too blind to see it. You raised her alone when I was too stupid to stay. You gave me a second chance when I didn't deserve one. You did all of it." "I had help," I said, thinking of Maya, Mom, even Nathan's parents who'd embraced us so completely. "Mama!" Ava called. "I caught one. I caught a light." We went to see, to celebrate her triumph. To be the family I'd never dared imagine when I stood in that airport bathroom, shaking and alone. Sometimes you need to lose everything to understand what's worth keeping. Sometimes the best laid plans are the ones that fall apart. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you get to build something better from the ruins.